Hey 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, let's go ahead and jump into 10 players the Niners could go ahead and draft at number 12 overall in the first round of the upcoming 2021 NFL Draft. I get so many DMs on my Twitter account, @RealThomasMott, and so many comments on the YouTube videos asking me, Thomas, who should the 49ers take at number 12? Well, there are two ways to look at this. One, we can talk about who they should take, who they need to take, or who actually will be available. We're going to combine all of that here into today's video. Let's start with, of course, the draft needs. I think we can kind of argue where these would go in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think we can't argue that these are the 5 biggest draft needs of the 49ers going into the 2021 draft. Cornerback, DN, 1 and 2. Just because Kerry Hyder had a very good year, 7.5 sacks, does not mean they don't want to add another pass rusher opposite of Nick Bosa. Obviously, cornerback, all of them are essentially free agents this year in terms of the 49ers overall roster. You get something like a safety. Is Tart going to come back? You want to bolster the secondary a little bit better. Offensive line was good, not great last year. And then I would throw wide receiver in there down at number 5, and that's mainly because they don't need linebacker help. They don't need running back help. I mean, quarterback is a whole different conversation. But other than that, they have a pretty good overall roster. So these are my top 5, but really the top 4 there are the big needs the 49ers could go ahead and address at number 12. Now, you guys have been asked for all these draft videos. Of course, it's just the start. We're going to be playing more mock drafts upcoming here on the channel. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the 49ers Report because you guys asked for it, ask and you shall receive. It's essentially how it works here on the channel. Okay. So, draft targets at number 12. We're going to start at 10, meaning the more of a least likely guy that they could draft, all the way up to number 1, meaning like the guy that they should 100% take if he's there at 12. Now, the first couple of players here are skill players. We'll get to them in a second. I don't think that they're going to take a skill player, but this is a scenario where if that player is available at 12, he might be too good to pass up. So we start with skill players who might not have been on my draft needs list, and then move up to the actual draft needs as we go from 10 to 1. You'll see. Let's start with number 10. Kyle Pitts. Yes, we have to talk about Kyle Pitts right now because even though I get a lot of questions asking about Kyle Pitts, my answer remains the same. No, the Niners do not need another tight end. That's why he's here at number 10. However, this is not just any other tight end when you're run-of-the-mill tight ends during every year of the NFL draft. This is like the tight end. This is like the greatest tight end to come out of the NFL draft in probably my lifetime. I mean, the hype around Kyle Pitts, and rightfully so, is absolutely massive. He's not only the best tight end in the draft, he might be one of the best overall players in the draft. And if you get to a scenario where at 12, you don't like any of your players of need at positions of needs, might be gone or they might be too early to draft at, and you say, you know what, let's take the best player available. They might go ahead and dive in and take Kyle Pitts. Can you imagine Pitts alongside George Kittle? It'd be really good. Again, I do not see them doing this. I don't see any comments of, they won't take Kyle Pitts. That's so stupid. I'm not saying they will. But there are scenarios in every single NFL draft where teams go for best player available versus need. There's a very real chance that Kyle Pitts could be the best player available at number 12. The numbers are stupid. I mean, 8 games in 2020, he caught 12 touchdown passes. He would be an instant impact on offense. I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't take him just because they have other needs. But if all the corners are gone or all the pass rushers are gone and you need to just take the best player available, Pitts is a very real option. Okay, pin comment down below as we keep going here. I want you guys to give me your name for who the Niners should take at number 12 overall. Let me know who that is down below. It'll be the top saved comment here in the comment section. All right, so don't think they'll take Kyle Pitts because really they don't need a tight end, but we got to talk about the wide receiver position here quickly because there's another scenario where you go, well, let's just keep loading up on skill players and get another wide receiver because Jalen Hurd is hurt and Debo was off and on the football field this year and Ayuk was still a rookie, and so the only wide receiver I think that would be available at number 12 that you would have some debate on taking here is Jaylen Waddle because Jamar Chase will not be there, and there's no way Devontae Smith is there at number 12, and Rashawn Bateman out of Minnesota, it's too early to take him at number 12. So if you were to want them to take a wide receiver, the only one available, in my opinion, would be the wide receiver from Alabama. That is Jaylen Waddle. He's easily the 3rd best receiver in this draft class, He came down a little bit. He was up there really 1B, 1C behind, of course, Chase and Devontae Smith until he suffered that bad ankle injury in 2020. He did play in the national championship game, a couple of catches, but very obvious was not 100%. He should be 100% by the start of the year, but this is a scenario where you don't expect the Niners to go for wide receiver. Again, another one in the first round to me wouldn't make a lot of sense, but if they wanted to have a 3rd good young wide receiver, the only one really that would be available at 12 is, of course, Jaylen Waddle. Okay, number 8 here is, of course, the only quarterback you could take at number 12 overall. They'll be available at number 12 overall, and that is Trey Lance out of ND State, North Dakota State. Of course, dual threat, strong arm. We understand that he is a little bit of a risk because he didn't play in 2020, and also, of course, had all of the not issues with playing at North Dakota State, but the fact he plays at North Dakota State versus playing at Alabama is obviously somewhat of a question mark there for his chances at going into the next level in the National Football League. And as I mentioned here, Lance is the only real quarterback option at 12. To me, you might be able to slide Mac Jones in here at number 12. Seems a little bit early overall. I might be wrong on that. I could switch Jones out for Trey Lance. That's interchangeable. But the main point of this is there will obviously be no Trevor Lawrence. There's no chance Justin Fields is here. And I don't care what mock drafts say, Zach Wilson will not fall to 12. So if you want a quarterback at 12, and again, we're talking about, who really is there overall, then you got to go for Trey Lance or Mac Jones. We go Trey Lance right here for the dual threat quarterback abilities because Jones is a lot of fun, and I think Mac Jones can be a great quarterback prospect, but I think you keep Jimmy Garoppolo if you're just going to go and take Mac Jones. The reason you would take Lance is the dual threat running ability. He would be there at 12, in my opinion. The other ones would not. Great 2019. You guys see the stats on your screen. You understand how fantastic he was. Sitting out in 2020 might hurt him. He could fall way past number 12. But the first three options here, again, on my list of 10, are picks I wouldn't take, but if they were going to go ahead and reach for a tight end or a wide receiver or a quarterback, these are the guys that would be available. So we start there, the least likely, 10, 9, 8, and get to 7 coming up here in a second. But first, would you rather go offense or defense at 12? I think defense is where you go at number 12. As you'll see, defensive guys are higher up on my list here than the offensive guys. But I want to know what you guys think. Type O down below for offense, type D down below for defense. Let's get into some offensive linemen because the O-line class is good. It's heavy and thick at the top, and so the question is how many will be there at 12 because they might go on a run on them early on in the early 8, 9, 10 frame. But if you want one of the better offensive tackles in the draft, you go for Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. He is a guy who is a little bit small, and that's something that we need to acknowledge when we talk about Rashawn Slater. He's 6'3", but when he played against Chase Young in 2019, the best pass rusher in the draft back in 2019, he really held up his own if you go back and watch that film. Great in the run game. He can move. The shorter offensive linemen are all most likely better in the run game, or usually are, in terms of the National Football League, but has great pass blocking skills as well. Right now, he's probably the second best tackle because Penei Sewell out of Oregon is the best tackle in the offensive or in the NFL draft. Sewell, of course, will not be there at number 12, and so if you wanted the best offensive tackle in the entire draft, Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern makes a lot of sense. And obviously, this would be a real option if you weren't to be able to re-sign Trent Williams. And so this comes into the whole, if Williams were to be let go, then maybe you want to go ahead and bring in his replacement as soon as you possibly can. And I think if Trent Williams were to not re-sign with the 49ers, side note, I think he will, but if he did not re-sign with the 49ers, then I think a real option would be a left tackle at 12, and Rashawn Slater, in my opinion, would absolutely be there for the 49ers to go ahead and grab. How about another offensive tackle? And again, we're going to get a couple of these, just mixing them in here, give you some options here at number 12. Not sexy, because of course you want skilled players and defensive guys. We got to mention Christian Darrisaw, the offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. Darrisaw is pronounced his last name. Breakout season in 2020, was considered one of the best, bright, up-and-coming offensive tackles in the entire college football arena last year. Great in pass protection, a lot bigger than, of course, Slater, but he's also really good in run blocking as well. And so you get kind of a mixture of a bigger guy who might fall a little bit, especially if Slater is gone inside the top 10. Because the consensus pick that I keep hearing is that if Slater makes it out of the top 10, it's going to be barely, right? You go 9, 10, or 11. And so if he were to be gone, then the offensive tackle from Virginia Tech we're talking about here right now becomes my number 6 prospect on this board because it's the next best offensive lineman that you could go ahead and draft behind the Sewell and the Slaters of the world. Again, 6'5", 314, athletic. He has all the size and none of the worry that you would have with Rashawn Slater if, of course, size is a problem for the 49ers in drafting him. So these are the first 5. We're going to go from 5 down to 1 here in just 1 second, but I'm very curious what you guys are thinking about the Super Bowl coming up here in 2 weeks. And of course, got a lot of people signing up and betting with our friends at BetUS and winning a lot of money with our friends at BetUS. So the next stimulus check coming, why not put it to good use and win some money? Go to chatsports.com/49bet. Use that promo code Niners125 as the Super Bowl is coming up here. And right now, the Chiefs are -3.5. The over-under is at 57. And so you can bet on, first off, just bet the Chiefs. You can bet the 49ers, you could bet the over-under, or you could go ahead and bet on a bunch of different Super Bowl props. If you go to BetUS's website, of course, sign up with our promo code and using our link, and then you go and look at all the prop bets for the Super Bowl. Goodness gracious, you can bet on basically every single play. Who scores first, who scores the most touchdowns, who has more passing yards, and all sorts of different prop bets can win you some money. So if you feel confident, as I do, and I'm betting on this football game as well, get your bets in now. Lock those in because they can win a lot of money on Super Bowl Sunday. Not only enjoy football, but win some money as well. Chatsports.com/49bet. Use that promo code Niners125 is your ticket to winning some money with our friends and betting on the 49ers. Okay, now, again, I'm going to see a lot of comments, I'm sure, saying, Thomas, they need a pass rusher. Thomas, you said they need cornerbacks. Where are they? Let's get into the pass rushers and cornerbacks of this draft. Who could be available at number 12? How about KWITY PAYE, the defensive end out of Michigan? He, right now, I've seen a lot of people say he's the best pass rusher in the draft. To me, he's the second best pass rusher in the draft. He's very quick. Apparently, he runs a 4.5 40 is what they keep saying. We'll see what he does at the NFL Combine. If he does run a 4.5 40 at his size, then you might see him go a little bit higher than number 12, and maybe he is the first defensive end taken off of the board. I will hold my judgment until I actually see that, because as we say, the numbers haven't really matched the athleticism right now in terms of, the pass rusher out of Michigan, so I put him behind my number one pass rusher, who's coming up in a second, but this guy has the raw talent, 6'4", 277 pounds. It's not a great pass rusher's draft, but that's why you can see them go ahead and fall to number 12 versus years in the past where Chase Young and Nick Bosa go at 2 overall. But if you wanted somebody who has the talent, or at least the athleticism, to turn into talent, KWITY PAYE at the defensive end out of Michigan, to me, makes a lot of sense. I love the size, and if he runs that 4.5 40, he might even go higher than number 12, but we'll believe that whenever we see that. Everyone's fast right now in terms of the draft prospect. We'll actually see how fast you are when you get to the field at Indianapolis and run those 40 times. My favorite pass rusher comes in at number 4 here. I'm a Gregory Rousseau guy, a defensive end out of Miami. A lot of people, again, want the defensive end out of Michigan. Just talked about PAYE. I am a big Gregory Rousseau guy. He's my favorite defensive end in the draft. He, again, is raw, but he is like the quintessential size and the quintessential speed and strength that you want coming out of a D end. I mean, he produced some crazy good numbers in 2019. Did not play in 2020, which might hurt his draft stock a little bit in favor of the Niners. Again, sitting there at number 12. Look at a guy in 2019 in the ACC, 15 and a half sacks. I mean, really, really good stuff. 54 tackles, 19 TFLs. He was a monster for Miami and is, in my opinion, the best defensive end in the entire NFL draft. You put him ahead of the Michigan guy because Michigan guy has the better athleticism, you would think, overall size, but did not produce as much. Maybe it's the Big Ten offensive lineman versus the ACC offensive lineman, who knows? But Rousseau has proven to be a double-digit sack guy, and to the point that in 2019, only Chase Young had more sacks per game. And so, pretty good stuff. So if you wanted somebody at 12 who I think can make an instant impact on the 49ers, Rousseau to me would make a ton of sense, and that's why he's all the way up there as my number 4 pick and number 4 prospect here in our top 10 rankings. Okay, as I said earlier, we get into the final 3. Cornerback's the biggest need. So will there be cornerbacks at 12? Yes. Who will be there at 12 and who should they take? Let's start number 3. The most likely cornerback to be there is Jaycee Horn. Of course, he comes out of South Carolina. Great size, great movement at cornerbacks. When you look at cornerbacks, he is the exact size that you want overall. 6'1", has great arm length as well, which is increasingly a lot of people want to have in their cornerbacks. The bigger they are, the longer the arms, the better chance they have of raising their hand and deflecting passes, which he did a lot at South Carolina. The problem is didn't have a lot of interceptions, so you can kind of go Horn. You want to get more picks, and of course the Niners need to have more interceptions. Not a lot over the 2020 season, but Horn makes a ton of sense. Also, his father was Joe Horn, who was the former Saint, that wide receiver who was the best Saint for years because the Saints were always a bad organization. I mean, this is his kid, and so get the Horn kid out of South Carolina. I think he's more of a later teens overall draft pick in terms of where he could fall in the draft. But if the other top 2, we'll talk about in a second, go before him, and you need a cornerback, I'd be fine with Horn out of South Carolina. As we mentioned, cornerback, massive need. All of them are free agents. We expect them to sign 1 or 2 to bring back because you can't just draft 5 cornerbacks. But right now, this depth chart, meaning everyone's a free agent, shows me they 100% have got to get a cornerback, and that's where I'm going currently with my 12th overall pick. Up to you guys, though. Bigger need, cornerback or defensive end? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I think cornerback just because when Bosa comes back, do you really need another defensive end opposite of him? It's more of a luxury versus an actual need, even though it would be very, very nice to go have Gregory Rousseau opposite of the great Nick Bosa. But right now, I'd go for cornerback, but I'll listen to you guys in the comment section down below. All right, top 2 cornerbacks. Will they be there at number 12? Honestly, maybe. We'll start with Caleb Farley, the cornerback out of Virginia Tech, who a lot of people have as their number 1 cornerback, but for me, nope, not number 1. He opted out of 2020 due to COVID, and that tells me not any sort of, knock on him personally, but I want to see what you did this most recent year. There are plenty of players who have very good 2019s and then have very bad 2020s. They're very good 2 years ago and not good this year. I think opting out will hurt him in the draft, meaning he could fall as far as 12 and be available for the 49ers. He was a great shutdown cornerback in college football, and this was really a guy who, if you look at the stats in 2019, only allowed 5 catches on 27 targets. The teams just didn't throw to his side because they could attack his counterpart on the other side of the SC defense defense and get a lot more plays, or the Virginia Tech defense, excuse me, and get a lot more plays down the football field. So Farley, to me, at 12, is probably the leading pick right now, just because my number 1 player might not be there at 12. But if we're going specifically player of need at a number of where you can actually get him being number 12, I think Caleb Farley has got to be up there, and that's why he's number 2. All right. I don't know if number 1 is more of just wishful thinking or it's just Mott's favorite player in this draft, but Patrick Surtain, the cornerback out of Alabama, to me, is the can't-miss player at number 12. If Surtain, it falls, and I'll give you reasons why he might here in just a second, but if he were to be there at 12, I don't care who else is out there. You take Patrick Surtain 100%, the best cornerback prospect, in my opinion, to come out in years. He's not incredibly fast, but he's a shutdown, man-to-man cornerback. I hate to say it because it's a big comparison, but it's Jalen Ramsey light. I mean, it's the light version of Jalen Ramsey who could become Jalen Ramsey, and Ramsey was a big reason why the Rams had one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the National Football League. Now, if he's not going to be there at 12, maybe you move up to 8, 9, or 10 and take him if the 49ers absolutely love him, but I'll be honest. If you look at how the first round, or at least the top 10, is shaping up, let's say that there's a run on quarterbacks. We know 3, Zach Wilson, obviously Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are all gone. Let's say there's another run on quarterbacks. That's 4 players out of the top 10 that'll all be quarterbacks. What if there's a run on offensive linemen? We mentioned, obviously, a couple of good ones. Penny Sewell will obviously go inside of the top 10. There's another one. Micah Parsons, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase. There's a very real possibility that other teams don't need corner, and they let a really good one in Patrick Surtain fall a little bit. And so, as I said, I am massively huge and high on Patrick Surtain because he showed it time and time again against really good opponents in the SEC that he's the best cornerback in college football. I'd take him over Caleb Farley, despite the fact Farley had a better 2019 than Surtain did in 2020. Son of a former NFL player, a former NFL quarterback, and Patrick Surtain, the first. Everything makes sense here with Surtain. If they were to get him and then bring back like Sherman or bring back Verrett, that secondary is instantly fixed, in my opinion, has a great overall chance to be really, really good over the next couple of years. So, as I asked before, who do you think the Niners should take at number 12? Again, I bring you 10 players. Doesn't mean that they have a shot to take all 10 players. Might mean that, they might not look at any of these players and take somebody else. But these are the guys that I've narrowed out who are at the top of their game in terms of the top of their draft class right now at the position of need that the 49ers have to address in the 2020 NFL Draft. Surtain, to me, will he be there at 12? My gut says no. But my heart says maybe there's a way that he falls back, and if he does, you got to go with him right there at number 12. Okay, make sure you guys are subscribed for more 49er draft videos because long video here, but I'm just so excited about the NFL draft. I love diving into all these prospects. We're going to do plenty of more mock drafts and second round and third round and fourth round, everything regarding the draft here on the channel, so make sure you guys are subscribed. Ultimately, out for today here on the 49ers Report, I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.